Tony Brown's journal examined the issue of reparations in 1994 with a national spokesperson for the Lost Found Nation of Islam and members of CURE, Caucasians United for Reparations and Emancipation.
I think it was in 1990 I wrote to Mr. Silas Muhammad asking him what could Caucasians do, people who are sympathetic with the Nation of Islam and people who are aware of the deeds of our race. He said that we could join with him and help him in his effort to obtain reparation. At that point, I started to write letters. I didn't know what one little person could do in this great big battle. So I wrote letters to editors of newspapers, and after a year or so, I began to write a column in Muhammad Speaks newspaper. And my next step was then to establish a corporation for the purpose of advocating reparations and for the purpose of raising funds for the war chest, the reparations war chest, which finances the international effort.
Okay, but you decided, sir, if you just immigrated here in the 1900s, you decided to become a part of the government of the United States of America. And you received the blessings of being an American, and you received the curses of being an American. The blessings are that every day you can traipse back and forward in this country and you can enjoy a position of wealth and stature, whereas our people scratch and eke out a living and live from paycheck to paycheck on a daily basis. And therefore we are like that because you tell us today we're going to give you affirmative action. Your affirmative action is supposed to now make it all good.
Reparations is a repairing of a people. So it can take many different forms depending on the damage. That's why we have a bill in Congress called H.R. 40, which would study the impact of slavery on African and Americans to the present generation. So it would look at various ways that it has harmed us. We also have a lawsuit that looks at various ways that it has harmed us. So it can take what people have been saying: education, land, economic development.
In the first instance, as people are becoming educated to the fact that this tragedy occurred, it's given people an opportunity to reevaluate it. It's a time in our lives when we're beginning to look at things anew from a different perspective, from a different angle. The mere fact that the government is involved in admitting the wrong, admitting the crime, the mere fact that the government is attempting to put restitution in place, that is a remedy for what had occurred, it's really a great opportunity to look at crimes that have been committed here in the United States of America and begin to put things right. So yes, this is an opportunity for learning and for growth, and to put the larger question, not only what happened to the blacks in Tulsa, Oklahoma, on the table, but in fact to look at what has happened to Africans born here in America in general in focus and perspective. And we're going to find more and more of that.
During the Reconstruction era, a new phrase was added to the lexicon of black folk wisdom, 40 acres and a mule, which has symbolized to this day black expectations of compensation for long years of brutal enslavement. The preliminary recommendation of the Tulsa Riot Commission in 2000 to pay survivors of the 1921 Tulsa, Oklahoma race riot reparations has received interest among many in the issue. The argument for black benefits is supported by the growing list of other ethnic groups who were also the genocidal victims of a dominant group. For example, in 1952, Germany paid $822 million to Holocaust victims, German Jewish settlement. 1990, in the United States, Japanese Americans received $1.2 billion, or $20,000 each. Austria, in 1990, in terms of Jewish claims, paid $25 million to Holocaust victims. Canada, 1988, gave 250,000 square miles of land to Indians and Eskimos, and so forth. I'm Tony Brown. In a moment, should blacks receive reparations?